Back in late 2018 through the beginning of 2019, Chris Davis experienced the worst hitless streak in Major League Baseball history by going 0 for 54. This was absolutely off the wall, even for a guy who at that point was rocking an OPS plus around 50 for 2 years running, making him about half as good as an average Major League hitter. But honestly, around that time period, if you had to pick anyone in the big leagues to go through a stretch like this, it would have been Chris due to the aforementioned struggles. Perhaps this is why it's come as such a shock that Jock Pederson, he of the 151 OPS plus and 908 OPS last year, with 23 home runs and just 367 at-bats, is now approaching Davis's record in the early days of 2025, with his current hitless streak standing at 41 straight at-bats. If he gets roughly around 3.5 ABs a game for the next little bit, he'll be set to break the mark in the next week or so. But what's perhaps even crazier to me than the streak itself is the manner in which he's gone about building it, as it has been far different than it was for Chris. Back in that time when the former slugging Orioles first baseman was having his atomically bad production that included negative 4.1 WAR over a 2-season stretch, he was also striking out nearly 40% of the time, with an average exit velocity that had dipped below 90 miles an hour. Basically, he wasn't hitting the ball that often, and when he did, it wasn't that hard relative to what he used to. These two factors joined together during his 0 for 54 to render well over 3/4 of his at-bats basically non-competitive, as they were comprised of either Ks, which have an expected batting average of exactly 0, or weakly struck batted ball events, which for most major league fielders are child's play. But Jock, for his part, isn't experiencing anything close to this same profile. Since this ground ball to third base for an infield single off of Hunter Green, Pederson has struck out 13 times in 41 plate appearances. This certainly isn't good, being a K rate of 31.7%, but that is still almost 10% better than Davis, giving him many more chances at actually seeing a hit drop in somewhere. But it's even weirder when you look at his quality of contact metrics. Sure, he isn't barreling the ball up very much, with only a barrel percent of 4.8 this year, which is far below his career average of 11.2, but his average exit velocity is still 90.8, which is in the 66th percentile, and his chase and whiff percentage are both above average, in the 66th and 58th percentile. So, why the hell is Pederson struggling like this, to near historic levels? Well, if I had to blame one culprit besides just dumb, horrible luck, it would be his 54.8% ground ball rate. For his career, he's been at just 41.8, and the major league average is 44.4. So for him to be almost 10% higher than this, while toting a 25.3 per second sprint speed, a number in just the 14th percentile, it's obvious that this wouldn't be a good combination. That's why his expected batting average on the year so far is just 142, which, don't get me wrong, is still significantly higher than the 052 he has in reality, but it does show that he's not getting as unlucky as you might think from just his hard hit numbers. Still, like I just said before, I don't want to understate the amount of bad luck that has to go into a streak like this, especially for a guy who is still making contact at a relatively reasonable rate. Like I said, Davis was taking his own bat out of his hands about half the time, and for Jock, this number is roughly around a third. For that many batted ball events, even ground balls, that are hit at an average of 90 miles per hour, not to sneak through the infield at least once is patently absurd and downright mind-boggling to me. All I can say is that I'm not rooting for him to break the record by any means. I like Jock, and still think he's a really good hitter at his best. But if the day comes that he does end up passing Davis, it will indeed be one of the more bizarre and unlikely achievements in the whole of baseball history, especially because of the manner through which he got there. Now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Also, if you ever see something you'd like to see detailed in a Made the Cut video, whether that be a specific play or a narrative surrounding a certain player or team, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com. That's BASE, letter B, POET@gmail.com. If I use your idea, I'll be sure to give you credit. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.